caught my fiancée in bed with another guy weeks before our wedding. She accused me, saying I was useless, and if I truly cared for her, she wouldn't need anyone else. So I said fine, and got my revenge later. Be me, 30-year-old Tyler. Work in data analysis for mid-size company downtown Miami. Fiancée Vanessa, 27, works in marketing at different company. Same building as mine, though. Been together 4 years, engaged for 9 months. Wedding was supposed to be this coming Saturday. Notice I said was. Everything seemed perfect until exactly 1 week ago. Writing this at 3 a.m. because can't sleep. Brain won't shut up about this whole messed up situation. Don't even know where to start. Need to get it out somewhere. Trust me, you're going to want to read this one. So I'm at work when my co-worker Derek hits me up. Derek works on different floor, but we know each other pretty well. We meet at this taco place across the street from our building. Derek's acting weird as hell. Keeps looking around like he's worried someone's going to overhear us. Finally, he's like, dude, I saw something over the weekend. You need to know about, but I really don't want to be the one telling you this. My stomach immediately dropped. You know that feeling when you can sense bad news coming, but you're still hoping maybe you're wrong. Like when your boss asks to have a quick chat, or when your girl starts a conversation with, we need to talk. That exact feeling, Derek starts explaining how he was at his condo complex Saturday afternoon. Coming back from the gym around 2:30 p.m., his building is literally right next to mine. Like you can see my parking lot from his balcony. He's walking to his car when he sees Vanessa in our parking lot, with some tall dude he's never seen before. At first he figured maybe it was her brother or cousin or something. Didn't think much of it. But then he watched them for a minute. Realized this wasn't family. This guy had his hands all over Vanessa, and she was letting him. Derek said they were making out pretty heavy. When they broke apart, Vanessa was laughing, touching this dude's chest like they'd been together forever. I'm really sorry, man, but I couldn't let you walk into marriage without knowing. The way they were acting, this wasn't some random thing. They looked comfortable together, you know. I'm sitting there trying to process this. Derek's not the type to lie or exaggerate. If he says he saw something, he saw it. Plus, he looked genuinely uncomfortable telling me, which made it feel more real. You sure it was Vanessa? Positive, I've seen her at company events like 12 times. It was definitely her. And Tyler, they went upstairs together to your apartment. That hit different. This wasn't just some random encounter or misunderstanding. This dude was in our apartment. In our bed, probably. Asked Derek if he recognized the guy. Nobody from our office building. Just some random dude. The whole rest of lunch I was just nodding and saying yeah. While Derek talked, but my brain was completely fried. Kept thinking about Saturday afternoon, trying to remember what Vanessa had told me she was doing. She said she was spending the day with her sister Jessica, addressing wedding invitations and doing other wedding prep stuff. Said they were going to make a whole girly day of it. With music and snacks. Complete bullshit. Went back to work but couldn't focus on anything. Every time I tried to look at numbers, my brain kept going back to what Derek said. Vanessa making out with some random guy. Bringing him to our apartment. Lying to my face about where she was and who she was with. The drive home felt like it took forever. Kept thinking maybe there was some explanation. Maybe Derek was wrong. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe I was overthinking everything. But deep down I knew, you know that gut feeling when something's off? I'd been ignoring little things for weeks without realizing it. Vanessa being extra secretive with her phone, taking calls in the other room, being super interested in my work schedule all of a sudden. Little things that didn't mean much by themselves, but now made perfect sense. When I got home, Vanessa was in full bride mode. Had wedding stuff spread all over the dining room table. She was humming some song, practically glowing with excitement. Hey babe, how was work? I had such a productive day with Jessica. We got so much done for Saturday. I'm so excited I can barely contain myself. I watched her talking all animated and happy. It felt surreal. Like I was watching someone I didn't even know. Every word out of her mouth felt fake. She was either the world's best actress, or she genuinely didn't give a shit that she'd been cheating on me hours earlier. That's great. What kind of stuff did you guys work on? Oh, you know, addressing the last batch of invitations. Finalizing the seating arrangement. Going over the timeline one more time. Girl stuff, Jessica brought wine, so we made a whole afternoon of it. She's so excited to be my maid of honor. Every word was a lie. She wasn't with Jessica. She was with some dude named whatever. Doing God knows what in our apartment, while I was at work thinking about how lucky I was. To have such an amazing fiancé, that night I barely slept. Vanessa was passed out next to me, completely relaxed, probably dreaming about our perfect wedding. I just stared at the ceiling, thinking about how my entire relationship was apparently built on lies. The worst part wasn't even the cheating. It was how easy the lying came to her, how she could look me in the eye and make up elaborate stories about spending the day with her sister when she'd actually been screwing around with some random guy. I decided right then that I wasn't going to confront her yet. I needed to know more first. How long had this been going on? Who was this guy? Was this a one-time thing, or had she been playing me for months? But mostly I wanted to see if she'd confess on her own, give her a chance to come clean, and maybe show some remorse for what she'd done. I spent all day Tuesday at work completely distracted. Couldn't focus on anything. Kept checking the clock every 5 minutes. The plan was simple. Get home, wait for the right moment, then just ask her directly about Saturday. Give her every opportunity to tell the truth. And see what happened. Part of me was still hoping Derek had been wrong, or that there was some explanation that made sense. Yeah, that hope died real quick. I got home around 6:45. Vanessa was in the kitchen making dinner, still in that ridiculously good mood from yesterday. When she saw me, she gave me this big kiss. Started going on about how excited she was for our wedding. Only 4 more days, babe, can you believe it? I was looking at my dress again today, and I literally got emotional. This is going to be the best day of our lives. The best day of our lives. While she was actively cheating on me, the audacity was unreal. After dinner, we were sitting on the couch, watching some show she liked. Vanessa was curled up next to me, acting all lovey-dovey, playing with my hair, talking about our honeymoon plans. The whole scene felt like some twisted joke. I decided it was time. My heart was pounding, but I had to know the truth. Hey, how was Saturday with Jessica? You guys seem to get a lot done. Vanessa didn't even look away from the TV. Oh, it was great, so productive. We basically finalized everything for Saturday. Jessica's such a good sister for helping me with all this. Still lying. Even when I was giving her a perfect opportunity to come clean, she doubled down on the bullshit story. That's cool. Derek mentioned he saw you around the complex Saturday afternoon. Said you were with someone he didn't recognize. That got her attention. She looked at me with this confused expression. That seemed genuine at first. Derek, when did you talk to Derek? And what do you mean he saw me? We had lunch yesterday. He lives in the building next to ours. Said he saw you in our parking lot with some guy around 2:30 p.m. I watched her face carefully. For about 2 seconds, she looked genuinely confused, like she was trying to figure out what Derek could have seen. Then something shifted. Her expression changed. And I could literally see her brain working, trying to figure out how much Derek had actually witnessed. She claimed it was just someone asking for directions, but the nervous voice, lack of eye contact, and defensive tone said otherwise. When I pushed, she snapped back, accusing me of being paranoid just days before our wedding. She made it seem like I was the one ruining things. Classic deflection. But I kept pressing, and eventually her whole act dropped. Cold and blunt, she admitted she'd been with someone named Brandon, some guy she met at a work happy hour. No shame, no hesitation. She'd been cheating for weeks, lied to my face about being with her sister. And when I called her out, she minimized it, said it was just talking, then admitted she'd slept with him multiple times because she wanted one last thrill before settling down. Well, it's your fault I cheated anyway. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My fault. You've been so boring lately. Always talking about the wedding and being responsible. And planning for the future. Brandon makes me feel alive again. He's exciting and spontaneous and fun. Maybe if you were more like that, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. My fault. I was boring, so she cheated. The logic was so twisted I didn't even know how to respond. I sat there staring at this woman I thought I knew, and realized I had no idea who she actually was. The Vanessa I thought I was in love with didn't exist. This person sitting next to me was someone who could cheat, lie about it, blame me for it, then act like I should thank her for not leaving me. The whole conversation felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. Instead of my own, I realized right then that our entire relationship had probably been built on lies. How many other times had she cheated and I just never found out? How many other stories had been complete bullshit? The worst part was she genuinely seemed to think she was being reasonable, like I was the crazy one for being upset about it. So what happens now? I asked. Now we get married Saturday, and forget this conversation ever happened. What's done is done, Tyler. We can't change the past. We can only move forward like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just destroyed our entire relationship with a few sentences. That's when I realized what I had to do. Vanessa had made her choice when she decided to cheat. Now I was going to make mine. But first, I was going to make sure everyone knew exactly who they were celebrating on Saturday. So I had two options. Option one was cancel everything like a normal person would do. Call off the wedding. Tell people we had irreconcilable differences and move on with my life quietly. Option two was way more interesting. See, here's the thing about Vanessa that I'm just now understanding. This girl lives for attention and validation. Her whole identity is built around being the perfect girlfriend, the perfect bride, the perfect everything. If I just canceled the wedding, she'd spin it to make herself look like the victim. She'd tell everyone I got cold feet, or that I was controlling, or that I couldn't handle her being independent. She'd probably get sympathy from friends and family, while I looked like the asshole who abandoned his bride at the last minute. Nah, not happening. I wanted everyone to see exactly who Vanessa really was. Not the fake version she shows the world, but the real person who could cheat on her fiancé and then blame him for it. The person who thinks cheating is practice, and that I should be grateful she chose me. Wednesday morning, I called in sick to work. Told my boss I had food poisoning and needed to recover before the wedding. Vanessa left for work around 8:15 a.m. in this amazing mood. She was humming and talking about how she couldn't wait for Friday's rehearsal dinner, said she was going to wear this purple dress that made her eyes pop, and that everyone was going to love the venue we picked. I'm so excited, babe. Tomorrow night is going to be perfect. All our favorite people in one room celebrating us. I can't wait to see everyone's faces when we walk in together. Oh, people were definitely going to have faces, all right, just not the kind she was expecting. After she left, I got to work. First thing I did was go through her phone more thoroughly. Vanessa's one of those people who never deletes anything. So there were weeks' worth of messages between her and Brandon. The stuff I found was so much worse than what she'd admitted to. They had been hooking up since 3 weeks after that work happy hour. So basically 2 months of cheating. And it wasn't just physical. They had these long conversations about their connection and how she felt trapped in our relationship. One message from 2 weeks ago really got me. I wish I could just run away with you. But I've invested too much time in this wedding to back out now. After Saturday, I'll figure out how to handle Tyler. Handle me like I was some problem she needed to solve, instead of the guy she was supposedly in love with. Another one from last week. Tyler's being so sweet about the wedding planning. He has no idea I'm only going through with this because it's easier than explaining to everyone why I'm calling it off. Poor guy actually thinks I want to marry him. Poor guy. She was talking about me like I was some pathetic loser who didn't deserve honesty. But the worst one was from Monday morning, right after Derek had seen them together. Had to do some damage control with Tyler last night. Told him we were just giving directions, lol. He's so gullible he believed every word. This is going to be easier than I thought. Reading that made my blood boil. Not just because she was laughing about lying to me, but because she thought I was stupid enough to believe her bullshit story. She had no idea I'd recorded our entire Tuesday conversation. I spent the rest of Wednesday screenshotting everything. Conversations with Brandon, lies about where she was going, complaints about our relationship, even messages to her friends about how she was only marrying me because it was convenient, and Brandon was just for fun. Thursday, I started building the slideshow. This was going to be my masterpiece. Vanessa came home Thursday evening in an even better mood than usual. She'd gotten her nails done, kept showing them to me, talking about how perfect they looked with her dress. She was practically glowing with excitement. We spent Thursday night going over final details. She had this whole timeline printed out, with what time everyone was supposed to arrive, when dinner would be served, when speeches would happen. She'd planned every minute of the evening down to the second. How many people confirmed for tomorrow again? 47, my parents, your parents, both sets of grandparents. My college friends, your college friends, some work people. Everyone who matters to us will be there. Everyone who matters, including all the people who thought Vanessa was this sweet, innocent girl, who'd never hurt a fly. They were about to find out who she really was. Friday morning, Vanessa was like a kid on Christmas. She kept checking her phone, adjusting the timeline, making sure everything was perfect for the evening. She'd taken the day off work to get ready and handle last-minute details. I went to work but couldn't concentrate on anything. Kept thinking about the slideshow, and what people's reactions were going to be. Part of me was nervous. This was going to be brutal, and there'd be no taking it back once it happened. But then I'd remember Vanessa laughing about how gullible I was, or her telling Brandon that she was only marrying me because it was convenient, and the nerves would disappear. She'd made her choice. Now, everyone was going to see exactly what kind of person makes choices like that. I left work early to get ready, and make sure the slideshow was loaded properly on my laptop. Everything was set up perfectly. All I had to do was connect to the projector, and let Vanessa's own words destroy her reputation. On the drive to the event hall, Vanessa was practically bouncing with excitement. She kept talking about who was going to be there, and what she wanted to say in her speech, and how romantic my slideshow was going to be. We pulled into the event hall parking lot, and I could see people already arriving. Vanessa squeezed my hand as we walked toward the entrance. "Are you ready for this?" I squeezed back and smiled. "More ready than you know." At the rehearsal dinner, Vanessa was all smiles, hugging guests, handing out name tags, acting like the perfect bride-to-be. Her parents were there looking excited, totally in the dark about who their daughter really was. Then she stood up to make her own speech, talking about how lucky we were, how I was her best friend and soulmate, how perfect everything felt, all while knowing she'd been cheating with Brandon for months. Tyler surprised me by putting together a slideshow of our relationship, and I can't wait for everyone to see how we got to this point. It's going to be so romantic. That was my cue. I stood up and grabbed my laptop from the side table. "Thanks, Vanessa. I did put together a little presentation for everyone. I thought it would be nice to take a trip down memory lane and show everyone the real story of our relationship." I connected my laptop to the projector, and the screen lit up at the front of the room. Everyone turned their chairs to face it and got quiet with anticipation. So here we go. The real story of Vanessa and Tyler. The slideshow started exactly like I'd planned. First slide was a photo of us from our very first date at that Mexican restaurant downtown. Everyone made those aw sounds people make at cute couple photos. For about 3 minutes, everything was going perfectly. People were making happy comments. Vanessa was squeezing my hand and beaming with pride. This was exactly the romantic slideshow she'd been expecting. Then slide 15 came up. It was a screenshot of text messages, Vanessa's name at the top, messages to someone named Brandon with yesterday's date. "Can't wait for tonight. Tyler thinks I'm getting my nails done. After tomorrow, I won't have to pretend anymore. One more day of acting like the perfect bride." The room got quiet real fast. People were squinting at the screen, trying to read the messages. Vanessa's grip on my hand went from gentle to painful. "Tyler, what is this?" she whispered. But I just kept clicking. Next slide was more messages from earlier this week. Brandon had to do damage control with Tyler. Told him we were just giving directions, lol. Now people were starting to look confused. Vanessa's mom was trying to read the messages from across the room. Her dad was leaning forward with a confused expression. The next few slides were a timeline of Vanessa's lies. Screenshots of her telling me she was with her sister, when she was actually with Brandon. Social media posts that contradicted her stories about where she'd been. Photos Brandon had posted showing Vanessa in places she told me she wasn't. Vanessa tried to grab my laptop, but I moved it away from her. "Tyler, stop this right now. Everyone, this is taken out of context." But there was no context that could explain away what people were seeing. Her own words, her own messages, proving she'd been lying for months. But I wasn't done yet. The final slide was just text that said, "And here's what Vanessa really thinks about our relationship," followed by the audio recording from Tuesday night. Vanessa's voice came through the event hall speakers, crystal clear. "Fine, you want the whole truth? I've been seeing Brandon for a few weeks. We met at that happy hour and we hit it off. And yes, I slept with him multiple times, actually. I just wanted to experience one last man before being settled into married life forever." Dead silence. You could have heard a pin drop. Then my voice, "You've been cheating on me for weeks." Vanessa's voice, "Oh, please don't be so dramatic. It's not cheating, it's just having fun before I get tied down. It doesn't mean anything." The audio kept playing. Vanessa blaming me for her cheating, saying I was boring, telling me I should be grateful she chose me in the end. When it finished, the silence was deafening. 47 people staring at Vanessa. While she sat there with her face bright red, her dad was the first person to speak. "Vanessa, what the hell is this?" That's when she completely lost it. Vanessa stood up and slapped me across the face as hard as she could. The sound echoed through the entire event hall. "You psycho, you ruined everything." This was supposed to be perfect. Everyone gasped and started talking at once. Vanessa's mom was crying. Her college friends were pulling out their phones to record what was happening. But Vanessa wasn't done. She started screaming about how I destroyed her life, and how could I do this to her in front of everyone she cared about. If you leave me, I'll kill myself. Do you hear me, Tyler? I'll kill myself and it'll be your fault. Making suicide threats in front of 47 people, including both sets of grandparents. Real classy move. Her sister tried to calm her down, but Vanessa was having a complete breakdown. She kept screaming about how this was supposed to be her perfect night, and how I'd ruined everything. The event hall manager came over asking if everything was okay. Vanessa started yelling at him too, saying this was her rehearsal dinner, and nobody could tell her what to do. That's when security showed up, asked Vanessa to lower her voice, or they'd have to ask her to leave. This is my rehearsal dinner, you can't kick me out of my dinner. But her meltdown was getting worse, not better. She was still screaming about how I destroyed her life. When security made the decision for her, they escorted Vanessa out of the event hall, while she was still shrieking about how everyone was against her, and how this was all my fault. The remaining people just sat there in complete shock. I closed my laptop, grabbed my coat, and walked out without saying another word. I got back to my hotel around 10:30 p.m., and just sat there for a while, trying to process everything that had happened. My phone was already blowing up with messages from people who'd been at the dinner, but I wasn't ready to deal with that yet. I just wanted to shower and try to get some sleep. Around 11:30 p.m., I started going through the messages. Most were supportive. People saying they couldn't believe Vanessa had been lying to everyone, that they were sorry I had to go through this, that I did the right thing by exposing her before the wedding. Vanessa's mom sent a long text apologizing for her daughter's behavior and saying they were mortified by what happened. Her dad called me around midnight to say he was proud of me for having the courage to show everyone who Vanessa really was, instead of just quietly canceling. But the most interesting messages were from Vanessa's college friends. Turns out she'd been bragging to them about Brandon for weeks, acting like having a side piece was totally normal. One of them, Kelsey, sent me screenshots of group chat messages where Vanessa was laughing about how easy it was to lie to me. Tyler's so clueless he believes everything I tell him. I could probably say I was volunteering at an orphanage and he'd buy it, lol. These girls had known for weeks that Vanessa was cheating, and none of them thought to warn me. They all assumed it was just pre-wedding jitters, and that she'd get it out of her system before Saturday. The best part was reading Vanessa's response. When one of them asked if she felt bad about lying to me, "Why should I feel bad? He's getting a wife who knows what she wants. If anything, I'm doing him a favor by making sure I don't have any regrets later." A favor? She thought cheating on me was doing me a favor. 2 hours later, I decided to check Vanessa's social media to see if she'd posted anything about what happened. That's when I discovered the real show was just getting started. Vanessa had posted a novel on Facebook at 12:03 a.m. I'm talking like 17 paragraphs of pure victim mentality bullshit. The post started with, "I never thought the person I loved most would try to destroy my life," and just got worse from there. She painted herself as this innocent victim who'd made one tiny mistake that I'd blown completely out of proportion. According to her version of events, I was a controlling psychopath who'd violated her privacy and humiliated her in front of everyone she cared about. The best part was how she described the cheating. "I had a brief moment of weakness where I sought comfort from a friend during a stressful time in my life. Instead of communicating with me like a mature adult, Tyler chose to publicly humiliate me and destroy our relationship. A brief moment of weakness. 2 months of cheating was a brief moment of weakness. But she wasn't done. The post went on to accuse me of being emotionally abusive, of isolating her from friends, of controlling every aspect of her life. None of it was true. But she was clearly trying to rewrite history to make herself look sympathetic. The comment section was brutal, though. Person after person who'd been at the dinner calling her out for lying. Someone had already posted a video of her meltdown that was getting shared around. People were commenting with laugh emojis and asking if she seriously expected anyone to believe her victim story after what they'd witnessed. Around 2:30 a.m., she posted again, this time on Instagram, a photo of her in her wedding dress, with a caption about how some people will do anything to hurt you. When they can't control you, she was still trying to play the victim. Even after everything that had happened, I went to bed then thinking the worst was over. Wrong again. Saturday morning, I woke up to 19 missed calls and dozens of text messages. Vanessa had apparently spent the entire night on a rampage. That made her social media posts look tame. First thing I saw was a text from my boss at 4:12 a.m. "Tyler, I got a very concerning call about you tonight. We should talk Monday morning." My stomach dropped. What had Vanessa done? I called my boss immediately. Even though it was only 8:15 a.m. on a Saturday, he picked up on the second ring. "Tyler, what's going on?" "I got a call at 3:30 a.m. from someone claiming to be your fiancé, saying you're mentally unstable and dangerous. She said you'd threatened her, and that I needed to fire you immediately for the safety of other employees." Vanessa had called my boss at 3:30 a.m. to try to get me fired. On a Saturday, 3 hours after her meltdown at the event hall, I explained the whole situation to my boss, including the fact that we weren't even together anymore, after I'd caught her cheating. He was cool about it and said he figured it was relationship drama, but he had to ask since someone had made accusations about workplace safety. After I hung up, I started going through the rest of my messages. Vanessa had apparently spent the night calling and texting anyone whose number she could find. She'd called my parents crying about how I'd destroyed her life, and begging them to talk sense into me. She told my mom I was having a mental breakdown and needed professional help. She'd called my brother with the same story. Around noon, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, it was Brandon. "Dude, is Vanessa your ex-fiancé? Because this chick has been blowing up my phone all night. And she's acting completely psycho." Apparently, Vanessa had spent part of her meltdown calling Brandon, alternating between begging him to run away with her and screaming at him for ruining her life. She'd sent him dozens of texts that started romantic and got progressively more unhinged. First, she was like, "We can finally be together now." And then when I didn't respond, she started calling me every name in the book. She sent me like 52 texts calling me a coward. And saying I used her? Dude, I barely even know this girl. Brandon told me he'd only hooked up with Vanessa a few times and had no interest in anything serious. When he saw the social media drama and realized she was actually engaged the whole time, he blocked her on everything. I thought she was single, man. She never mentioned a fiancé. This whole situation is way too crazy for me. So not only had Vanessa destroyed our relationship and humiliated herself in front of everyone we knew, she'd also gotten rejected by the guy she threw it all away for. By Sunday afternoon, the fallout was getting worse. More people from the dinner were posting about what they'd witnessed. Vanessa kept posting increasingly desperate content, trying to control the narrative. But it was too late. Everyone could see exactly who she was, and no amount of victim playing was going to change that. The girl who'd spent years building this image of being perfect and trustworthy had destroyed her own reputation in one night, and then made it 10 times worse by refusing to accept responsibility. What started as exposing a cheater had turned into watching someone have a complete psychological breakdown in real time. Vanessa's situation was getting worse by the day. Her company had caught wind of the social media meltdown and called her in for a meeting about maintaining professional standards, apparently posting dozens of unhinged rants. While tagging people from work wasn't a good look, one of her co-workers reached out to tell me Vanessa had been put on administrative leave, while HR investigated whether her personal issues were affecting her ability to do her job. Getting suspended from work for having a public breakdown over getting caught cheating has to be a new low, but the real damage was happening to her social life. Vanessa's college friends who'd known about Brandon started distancing themselves once they realized how crazy she'd gotten. Nobody wanted to be associated with someone who'd make suicide threats at their own rehearsal dinner. By Wednesday, Vanessa had apparently realized that her victim strategy wasn't working and switched tactics. She started posting about how she was focusing on healing and learning from her mistakes. Classic damage control move when playing the victim stops getting sympathy. Thursday, I got a call from Vanessa's dad. I almost didn't answer because I figured he was calling to defend his daughter. But I was curious what he had to say. "Tyler, I owe you another apology. We just found out Vanessa's been lying to us for months about more than just the cheating. She borrowed $6,000 from us last month, claiming it was for wedding expenses. But we found out she spent it on a vacation with that Brandon guy. Apparently, Vanessa had been using wedding money to fund her affair. She told her parents the florist needed an extra deposit, when she actually needed cash to go to some resort with Brandon. The weekend before our rehearsal dinner, we're cutting her off financially until she gets professional help. What she did to you was unforgivable. But lying to her own family about money Just shows how far gone she is. He also told me they'd been getting calls from Vanessa's landlord about late rent payments, and from credit card companies about missed payments. Turns out Vanessa's financial situation was way worse than anyone knew, and she'd been planning to use our joint accounts after the wedding to dig herself out of debt. Friday was exactly 1 week after the rehearsal dinner, and I decided to treat myself, use some of the money we'd saved for our honeymoon, to book a weekend trip to Vegas with my buddies. Posted a photo of us at the airport, with the caption, "Sometimes the best revenge is living your best life." Vanessa apparently saw the post, because she sent me a long text Friday night. First communication from her since the disaster. "Tyler, I know you hate me right now, but I need you to know that I'm getting help. I've started therapy and I'm trying to understand why I made such horrible choices. I know I hurt you, and I know I destroyed everything good in my life. I'm not asking for forgiveness because I don't deserve it, but I wanted you to know that losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me." Too little too late. I read the message, screenshot it, and blocked her number. If she'd had that realization before cheating, or even before lying about it, things might have been different. But you can't unring that bell. Some people have asked if I feel bad about how public the humiliation was. Honestly, no. Vanessa made her choices when she decided to cheat and lie about it. She made more choices when she blamed me for her cheating, and acted like I should be grateful for it. I just made sure everyone knew exactly who they were celebrating, before they wasted their time and money on someone that fake. The wedding would have been a complete lie. Built on months of deception and manipulation, at least now everyone knows the truth about who Vanessa really is behind that perfect facade. She spent years crafting this image of being the ideal girlfriend, the sweet, innocent girl who'd never hurt anyone, when in reality she was someone who could look you in the eye and lie without hesitation, someone who could cheat on their partner, then blame them for it, someone who could steal money from their own parents to fund an affair. The scariest part is how good she was at it. If Derek hadn't seen her that Saturday, I would have married her, never knowing that our entire relationship was built on lies. I would have spent years thinking I had this amazing wife, while she was probably still cheating behind my back. Looking back now, I can see all the red flags I missed. The way she'd get defensive when I asked simple questions. How she always had explanations ready for everything. The way she'd turn things around to make me feel guilty for being suspicious. Classic manipulation tactics that I was too trusting to recognize. Everyone keeps asking what I learned from this. Honestly, the biggest lesson is to trust your gut. When something feels off, it usually is, and people who truly love you don't make you feel crazy for asking basic questions about their behavior. Also, screenshots are your friend. If I hadn't documented everything, Vanessa would have spun this whole thing to make me look like the bad guy. Having proof of her lies and her actual words made it impossible for her to rewrite history. The other thing is that sometimes the nuclear option is the right choice. I could have quietly broken up with her and let her tell everyone whatever story she wanted, but exposing her publicly ensured that everyone knew the truth and prevented her from playing victim to people who didn't know better. It's been a month now, and my life is honestly better than it's been in years. Turns out I was walking on eggshells more than I realized, always worried about saying the wrong thing or asking the wrong question. Now I can just be myself without constantly second-guessing everything. Dating is interesting, though. Word has gotten around about what happened, and women either think I'm a hero for exposing a cheater, or they think I'm psycho for the public humiliation. No middle ground, apparently. But honestly, I'm in no rush to get serious with anyone. This whole experience taught me how important it is to really know someone before committing, and to pay attention to actions instead of just words. Vanessa was great at saying all the right things, but her actions told a completely different story. Next time, I'll be watching a lot more carefully for the little inconsistencies that add up to big lies. The funny thing is, Vanessa probably thought she was so smart, keeping Brandon as her backup plan, while securing me as her stable option. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too, but ended up losing everything because she got greedy. If she'd just been honest about not being ready for marriage, we could have postponed things or worked through it. Instead, she chose deception and manipulation, and destroyed not just our relationship, but her reputation and apparently her entire life. That's what happens when you think you're smarter than everyone else. Eventually, the house of cards falls down, and everyone sees what was really holding it up. So yeah, that's my story. From finding out about the cheating, to the nuclear revenge at the rehearsal dinner. to watching someone's life completely implode because they couldn't handle the consequences of their own choices. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Some people deserve to have their true nature exposed, especially when they've spent so much time and energy convincing everyone around them that they're something they're not. Vanessa made her bed. Now she gets to lie in it. Alone.